So today what we're going to do is we are going to start learning about some of the fundamentals or the basics in algebra and what makes algebra different than the math that we know, the arithmetic we know. And one of the main things that makes it different are variables in algebra. And variables are pretty much letters that represent numbers in a variable expression. For example, V, P, X, M, and on and on and on. We have a number of letters that we can choose from to be variables. A lot of the time, X is the one that's selected. Okay, so we also have something called variable expressions, and variable expressions are like number sentences, but they also have other things in the expressions other than just numbers. We have constants, and constants are numbers that remain the same. For example, if I had an expression like 4n, well, 4 is my constant, and n is my variable. And n can change or vary depending on what I need it to be. The last thing we have are operations, and operations are addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Now, division can also be indicated as a fraction bar, or it could be the division sign, although we don't use that much in algebra. Multiplication can be indicated, one sec. Multiplication could be the multiplication sign that you see, although in algebra we start to not use that as much because it can be confused with the variable x. Or we just use a dot. That means multiplication. Or we might have parentheses next to each other with nothing in between, and that would be multiplication. So some examples excuse me, of variable expressions are right here. We have 8y, or 8 parentheses y, or 8 star y. That should be a dot. That means 8 times y. 5/n means 5 divided by n, and that could also be written as 5 divided by n, or as a fraction, 5 over n. This right here is 6 plus c. That means 6 plus c. 10 minus g means I take g away from the number 10. So evaluating expressions. Here are some examples. When n equals 2, so here I have a number that I'm assigning to that variable. What is 4n plus 5? Well, 4n means 4 times n, and then I add 5 to it. So what I will do to solve this is I will substitute in 2 for n, and then do the operation. So I do 4 times 2 plus 5. Well, 4 times 2 is 8, plus 5, which is 13. So I've evaluated that expression. The next one, when n equals 3, what is 6 divided by n? Well, again, I'm going to substitute in 3 for n and solve the division problem. So I have 6 over 3, or 2. Okay. This next one is exponents and powers. So an exponent is when something is well, let me rephrase that. An expression like 3 to the 4th is called a power, and it means 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, or 3 times itself 4 times, which is 81. So 3 is called the base, and 4 is called the exponent. So 4 is our exponent. 4 is our exponent, and 3 is our base. So some examples. 6 with a superscript of 2 means 6 squared, or 6 to the power of 2, which is 6 times 6. If I solve that, that is 36. 5 to the power of 3 means 5 cubed, or 5 to the power of 3. When I solve that, I have 5 times 5 is 25. 25 times 5 is 125. This right here, x to the 5th, means x to the 5th power, or x times x times x times x times x. And I can't solve that unless I have a value for x. So evaluating expressions, I've got when n equals 3, what is n squared? What I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in 3 for n and square it. So I have 3 to the 2nd power, which is 3 times 3, which is 9. The second problem, when n equals 4, what is 2 to the n power? Well, this time my n represents my exponent, so I'm going to plug in 4 in for my exponent. So I have 2 to the 4th power, or 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which is, let's see, 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. So my answer is 16. Then I have, let's see here, on this next page, I have a problem, not even on the next page, but I have a problem that you can't really see very well on the screen. What it says is when a equals 2 and b equals 3, so a equals 2, b equals 3, what is a plus b all to the 3rd power? Well, I'm going to substitute in 2 for a, 3 for b. So I have 2 plus 3 cubed. So I have 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 cubed, 125. All right, and on this screen, apparently you can't see it on the screen because it's not fitting on this tablet, but you have a problem that I would like you to try, and it is when n equals 4, what is 3 to the nth power times 2? All right, now so I'll see you in class tomorrow. No, it's not for Connor. That's okay.